Next up is a deck that you've seen, not me personally play. I had my friend test drive a few ideas I was going at, but this is the Crimson Savage, Crimson Trunks. Basically, this is manipulating randomly your warp and your drop in the first few turns, but after, I want to say, turn 2, turn 3, worst case scenario turn 3, you should be in full control of how you manipulate it. But just the first couple times is random. I know some people like to random flip the whole game. Me, after the first 1 or 2 times, if that's enough to awaken, I like to stay in control. But what I mean by that is this sends one card from your hand to the warp to draw 2, good card advantage, and same on back, untap 1, draw 1. This then has a special ability to spirit boost and hit something. Also, it can does the same thing as the front, but in order to do it, it's not as passive. You have to attack to get that effect. Also, the other unique thing about this, it has blocker. I'm just trying to find a nice unglare spot. I'm just gonna leave it on the ground. But when they attack your unison, you can stand this up and have it swing into this. Also, this is one of the older leaders, so you don't go down in life. That's another big thing. I was wanting to focus around this. I wanted to use my life as a resource versus uh, always having to rely on going down in life to do stuff. More in that sense of that theme of control instead of like black is very random, but if you build it correctly, it can be very fluid and consistent. But let's get into the profile. That's what you're here for. First, we're going to start off with the main engine or package. We got 4 of the Overrealm. Bandai, please give us foils of this card. But this is basically us to draw to set up. Also, it has another skill that reduces the cost of the 5-drop in your warp. Really good. Centerpiece. The 5-drop it reduces is this Trunks. This is your pressure. If you set up right, turn 2, you can possibly deal half your opponent's life. Or if you wanna take your time with it, and just size them up and just out resources through the whole game, you can do that too. And this is like another card on top of it. You Xenovolve this from the 5-drop. You basically, or Xenovolve is basically having a target material on the field and just sending it to the work just to play it. But this is your heavy lifter. This removes anything through barrier for you, and just necessary for the bigger pieces of the game. Also, another way to end the game. Then got our other 4 scenes. These are the scenes that you can play from your warp, and the ones you want to hit and go into early game. The blocker is important because it's really good behind your negate. I'm maxing out on it just for consistency's sake. This is kind of the floodgate, and also has like another pressure curve outside of the main Trunks line, or yeah, but This one needs unison just to get the double strike, but besides that, it can play itself from the work. A lot of cards in this deck will be able to play itself from the work. Then I always like my consistency pieces. I was floating between 2 and 4 depending on what I wanted to bring in, but I folded back to 4 because I always love my consistency and always needing to see the several to tens of cards that's between 4 or less scenes was basically all of those. Also, this search my unison, so fair utility. After use, I just combo it off from the field, and bam, Z energy. Going on to my next card, it's a new one. Trunks. This helps me set up a lot of plays in my deck. I usually send my warp targets or cards that have warp effects to my warp area, because I just, on my leader's front side, you basically can send this from the hand active main just to send any of your other black cards 15k or less to the warp and just let things set in motion. I chose three altogether just because space, and also it's a limit 1 effect. If I could keep spamming that up, but I think 3 is enough. This replaced another card in my deck that I like a lot. I gotta figure out a way to put it back in, but rocking the new CRs, another strong black card that has some synergy and gets rid of things I don't want on the field, as well as can keep certain things on the field. But we'll chime into that later as we get into the deck profile. I'm playing some unique super combos. This is the super combo a lot of my friends want me to run mostly, but I still like these for how we play the deck, which is very aggressive, and we go into our deck pretty often. But that is pretty much the main core concept of the deck, and from here it gets really how should I say, pretty tactical. Going on to my next few cards, we got the Bardock. We're gonna have a healthy drop because we're not really overwhelming like that. We're just manipulating our warp and drop, and that makes this really strong in here. Next, we got my pile is getting very big. I'll just put that off over there. We're gonna just put it like up here for tiny. We'll come back to that in a minute. Next we got my secret, not my secret identity, brainwash no more. I like keeping this in my black deck because it always makes them respect it. Then we have like 4 of my tech generals. I used to have a lot more, but we reduced it down. Starting off with my big guy, my big cumber. Another way to end the game, and if I don't end the game, I can stun a board. Same with this card. There's a lot of cool synergies with this. Hopefully you get to see those in the playlist. I always like to have cards that do life damage even if my attack don't go through. And this has deflect, so you're gonna get there. And usually everybody overwhelms every game, so you will at least be able to do 1 damage on swing. This is his bigger form. Having these 2 in your deck versus other black decks kind of almost guarantees you the game. And to top off my big guy, this is not a super hyper aggressive deck, but with the right hand, you can close out games early. But for the most part, this is really good mid range. So you will get to that turn marker where this comes up, but if it doesn't, lucky them. But I like having this. Almost wanted it as a 2 of, but I like having minimal cards with one combo cost in my deck, just for combo fluidity. Now going to some other staples, we got our Black Mass Sand or Dark Power Black Mass Sand, just to stun our opponent. Then we have our Koi Sky, just taking one. We can get to it if we need it. Then we got a Kai, because it's part of our main strategy, because we built a deck around cycling the effects of unisons, and I'll get into that bigger in a minute. But I would run more, but I only got one foil. Did this come pre-release? Because I know I made an effort to stamp out most of my deck. Like the next card, this is the unison your deck centers around and gets its value off of. Get pluses when cards come in play from the warp, and you need a unison because you do a lot of spirit boost effects. Next, we're going to play out our Kai, just additional negate that's easily set up in his deck. Space is tight, and I had a strict focus on what I want to incorporate in there. I probably could cut a pen to add another one, but I want to keep my sand count high, because you want to have a high chance of awakening on turn 2 just to do shenanigans. So I keep all other cards to a minimum, like some obvious power bursts. We got some 1-drops to cycle back and use again. In certain matchups, you want to have that Sparking Negate live just to protect you from like Light in the Dark SCR, so on and so forth. And following that up, 2 petrifications, staple black, 2 or 3 is like the usual you want to go, but I think 2 is fine. Also, I traded my 3rd foil to a friend of mine. Then for our last card in SCR, we're testing out the new black one. This seemed to make sense to me, because like this has ability to play itself from the warp, and it has black empower, which you empower over soon as when you get all your value out of this unison, you play this from the warp and try to either close out or set up to close out, or other interactions. So I'll probably try to get on cam, or if not already, I don't know the order I'm posting this, but this does a lot of heavy lifting as well as keeps you in the game. And also, there's not a lot of ways to interact with unisons effectively, especially the ones that got barrier like this. So you have to deal with him. And he has crit, and he has revenge, and he has blocker. They made this very scary. I know a lot of people play Cumber. I would say that's not a bad choice. Also consider playing Bursting Rage, just because how I like to play this. But I say if you're not doing the main deck Unison package, those are good option. But if you are, I would say this is one of the best options. that makes sense and cultivates your agenda to close out the game in a uniform and effective way. Because I would say Trunks plays, if you seen the ceiling of how this used to play in the past for all my Trunks fans, this deck is very efficient in putting pressure and closing out games. Going on to the Z deck, we got the Z leader, obviously. Only a few decks usually go down to 3 against. I hate having to force myself to go down to 3 if I don't want to, but I can. But that never should be the option. If they earn that 3 life they put you to, then you drop it on them. That's why I said Burst and Rage was another option, just if you want to accelerate and close out the game. Next, this is in here just for like Z energy builder, and also in case I play white, because white like to make your stuff to hit it, or put your stuff to hit it. Then the real front runners of the deck, 3 interdimensions. This helps a lot in the fact that it puts pressure, in a 1 energy double strike is pretty value. Also, going into this early, your super combos are live. Same with this. This is barrier removal. Barrier removal is important, especially in the mid game, because there might be some barrier threats on the top end, but where cards giving themselves or each other barrier, this just gets around it if they playing on a high energy curve. Lastly, we got, oh my goodness, another 20-minute video. Hope y'all enjoying this. I've been trying to keep these shorter, but we're still working on it. This one, just for a big extension turn that you overwhelm, you can reduce its cost and just swing a lot into your opponent if they didn't floodgate you. And lastly, we got our Mighty Blast. Pretty self-explanatory. Helps further manipulate your drop and work. Then side deck is pretty much a conceptual concept of figuring out what works and just keeping certain cards in mind as I play this deck throughout various matchups. We got our ultimate minus energy, new piercing blow. I wonder if y'all see that. I'm just buzzing it up just so y'all can read it. Protector of the people, Hunt of the Demon God, Super Kamehameha, Rebellion Hammer. This I always loved in Trunks because you can keep your drop high if need to, or send a lot of cards to your warp just so you can get that reduced cost. I like this over begrudging, especially in here, because of how you manipulate your warp, as well as this hits 4 or less. There's only like a few kind of plays that hit 4 or less in the game. I always love my Realm of Gods cards, and I had to flex my SPR, but this is another 1 energy answer to something that comes out too early, as well as another way to defensively get out of swings, as well as fill your drop. And the other thing is kind of like a test project, as you've seen. Didn't really get to get it off too much, but these are kind of like bridgeway overwhelms that gives me another overwhelm in case I'm facing a matchup that I want to put pressure and get early. This gives me value. This clears my opponent's board as I'm overwhelming. Usually in tangent with this card, they're really good because I can just overwhelm one, play this for my warp, and then swing, build up my drop again to overwhelm again, just to continue pressure. I know I can use the Migra, but it's more value to do all that with little to no energy. And that's pretty much the whole concept for black. Then we got Bardock. Testing the waters on this. I think this is a good backup unison in the deck in case you flow through all your main unisons and this or your other one is like still in life for a deck. Another way I like to play this, I like to stay at a high life for as long as possible and just keep putting pressure on the whole game. Also, this has a cool secondary effect when you do Spirit Boost, which this deck is built on Spirit Boost. You get to warp they drop, which kind of synergizes with the other cards in the main deck, which I like to build my decks with some sort of focus or synergy into like a comprehensive strategy that's not too complex to carry out. Lastly, he has his own Floodgate -2. I was thinking about running the Cooler, but this is kind of like cheaper for 2 energy. My other unison is the King or the SS Vegeta. I always wanted to use this and use the -5 to burn somebody. It's like one of the things I'll probably make in another video the following week of the essential things your deck should have. And one of those is a burn card. Then also complements overwhelming, and also if you have this in BMS is pretty strong. We have 2 energy answer to a board, Finn, Coercion, and Kearney. Not a lot of people using this anymore, but I still like it. I still think it does work, as well as be very energy efficient for a board work. Because I know we forget about the aspect of the game, the clarinet board. Another 2 energy play. If I'm versed in the format, I'll just call when I need to call and just stun my opponent for a turn. Same with this card. Just taking one of, just because I only got 1 foil, but usually only need 1 turn, followed by my just a few pocket negates. Just get me my turn back. And for my last card, just as another option, because it gets tough grinding with green. I was on the opposite side. I feel I had the game won. Story time. I was playing Cell. My friend was playing Crimson Trunks. Didn't even have all the cards. But I dropped him to 5 cards in hand. I had like 12 on him. He did the impossible, made a board, comboed up to 90k, and I couldn't get out of it. All 5 cards. That the Z deck in junction with the combo this deck produces makes the deck very formidable. Lastly, I want to talk about just a few things and other options. I use some new cards from a new set. Some of those you might notice that I'm not running, that I thought about though. I thought about this as another barrier removal, but my deck already does that. Same with what's the other card? I had this in my previous list just for pressure. Same with this, I was testing around. And also this for a new set is pretty good just to set up, and it's has more uses than being a dead card. But I didn't want to break the synergy and the focus of having too many non-Saiyans in the deck and just fall under the trap or guys just because it's a good card. I should run it, and I just should disregard synergy and fluidity that makes up the thing. I also was running this card too. But my point is, there's a lot of routes you can take the deck. But another route I was going to take was building around Gohanks and having a lot of burst cards and making burst with a purpose. But I'll say that for another time. I'm just going to ride this out. But you want to stay concise, focused, and just streamline for how you want to play your decks. And just words to the wise. You don't want to over cluster it. You can have some cool text in it, but if you have too many strategies under the hood, you'll probably burn out and just wreck. But that's my TED talk. I've been aiming to keep these under like 10, but hope y'all enjoyed the talk. Let me know your thoughts and catch you later.